When it comes to school gag comedy, there's a certain hierarchy among them that you can't pinpoint in how they follow through on their jobs. A show like My Dear Friend Nakatan falls flat in its insistence on retelling the same gag. Meanwhile, Nichijou is pretty much royalty among the subgenre, as it's never consistent in where its surrealist jokes land. Azumanga Daioh isn't the oldest school gag comedy there is, but I argue it is the modern blueprint for the post-2000s absurdist teen humor. For as bizarre and out there the jokes present themselves, there's an undeniable intrigue to them in their awkward timing and matter-of-fact delivery. It's honestly an anime I think everyone should watch, not because it's great, but because it has a solid understanding of the art of comedy and introducing Japanese humor to the West in basic but clever fundamentals. So, how do we deconstruct the laughs without ruining the jokes? Well, we might not have to. It really speaks for itself. The show follows the daily school lives of the girls of some high school and their down-to-earth yet strangely surreal antics. These include the teachers bike breaking down only to end up stealing a student's, dancing in the sports festival to Turkey in the Straw of all songs, and the constant interactions with this yellow cat human thing. Among them are a slew of colorful personalities, including the competitive yet unlucky Tomo, the whimsied airhead Osaka, the abrasive and informal teacher Yukari, and the 10 out of 10 tomboy Kagura. It's a wild school present not in the extraordinary but in the ordinary made extra. If there's one thing to know about Azumanga Daioh, it's that there's nothing to know. This is both a positive thing and a setback for the show. Azumanga succeeds in relaying its identity from the get-go, with its humor and characters presented in a typical everyday fashion. It builds upon the world as this collective asylum of weirdos and unfortunate circumstances that play into a shifted perspective of something I could really only describe as bizarrely silly. A good example is when the class erupts in a panic due to a cockroach, except for Osaka who has no reaction. When Tomo kills it, she's hoisted as a hero in a poorly animated celebration. That's silly. Then, when Tomo requests a new book after using her old one to slay the bug, it's the teacher's equivalent energetic reaction that sparks the revision of the joke, with the same shot of pondering Osaka used again, and you don't see the ensuing chaos, and that's bizarre. The writing in Daioh is just as weird, and weird in how simple and easy it is to follow. There are some of the most mundane and or dumbest points of conversation made in the show, and they're treated like they are. Dumb conversations. The kinds of conversations you'd have with good friends in school or at a bar. The comedy doesn't come from the absurdity of the subjects in said talks, but rather the plain nuance and flows of them. Stuff like finding out reindeer exist or naming stuffed animals following racehorse conventions. They're fine on paper, but when given to these writers and performers, they become a unique brand of weird. With that said, there's the other edge of the sword. Not every bit's gonna hit, and those that do tend to be more along the lines of light chuckles rather than laugh out loud moments. It can range from stuff lost in translation to a ping-ponging focus to, yes, even the tonally ordinary attitude of the show itself. The writing is fun for what it achieves, and I do think it set a solid precedence for absurd setup and punchlining in shows to come like Nichijou, Daily Lives of High School Boys, and maybe even Komori, which premiered only a year after this. But I also think it's a very acquired taste that works with a formula not everyone might get or find as humorous as I. Plus, there are the things that just straight up don't work. Like, did anyone legit ever think that Mr. Kimura was ever funny? At all? I didn't think so. He's a bad character with bad running jokes and an overall bag of milk in the sun. His only contribution was expanding weeb lexicon. On occasion, the show breaks the mold and does something different, which is where I think it actually shines in giving absolutely hysterical moments, but there's not many compared to the jokes that give Daioh its defining traits. Which is sad because I do think the balance can be achieved, and it has in shows like High School Boys and Suited Duty Children. But don't let that disparage you. Azumanga Daioh is still worth the peek. It's not revolutionary in the jokes or the comedy, but rather in how they tell them. It said a talented comedian can make the phone book funny, and this show calls up a lot of solid gags and talking points. It might not be everyone's cup of tea, but it renews the idea that even the casual can be crazy and the crazy can be casual, both with equal standing based on presentation and delivery. I enjoy the antics, the wit, the slapstick, and the plain weird of what comes from a show that tries hard and staying bizarrely silly. And if you want to get wrapped up in the conversation yourself, just be at the ready to take it all in. And don't be surprised when your friend's dad turns out to be a cat.